Hey, it's Andy, and this is your curated research URLs for Wednesday, May 26th. Yes, I know it's a day late, but there's a lot going on. And I just want to also mention you can get all my research at andrewbush.com and follow me on Twitter at ABUSCH. Okay. If you did follow me on Twitter, you saw some of these tweets that I put out yesterday with some of these URLs already. One of the more interesting ones I came across early was from self.inc. This is taxes paid over a lifetime by state. And it's really fascinating to see which states had the highest ones. The highest of all the 50 is New Jersey, and the lowest of all the 50 is Alabama. So you want to check that out. Go ahead and click on that and see where you are, depending on where you live. The next one is I looked up the S&P Case-Shiller Index. Obviously, this is rocking and rolling. Last quarter, I think it was up 13%, or last March, or for the March date, it was up 13%. It also has the city-by-city showing. Some of these cities have gone up 40%. Not cities, probably the suburbs of where these guys are at have gone up significantly. A lot of cities overall have dropped, like San Francisco and New York, so you'll want to check those out. Also, I started diving into doing some tax stuff, right? So the Tax Policy Center, which is a great resource, I have a URL talking about the sources for federal government. If you're wondering where tax dollars go, or if you're wondering how the federal government, what percentage they get from which taxes, this is a great URL. But 50% of federal revenue comes from individual income taxes. And here's the kicker, only 7% come from corporate income taxes. Now, some would say that's a reason for why you should increase corporate taxes. But that's really the point is that you want to keep that as low as possible to encourage those companies to grow, be profitable, and hire more workers. So check that out. And the rest is just from a mix of different sources. Again, Tax Policy Center on state income, state revenues. I think most of that comes from income, sales, and other taxes, obviously real estate taxes and fees. And of course, the big one is the transfers from the federal government, and that's mainly on Medicaid. So taxes accounted for about half of all general revenue. This is going back to 2017, so I'm sure that may have changed because of all the stimulus plans and all the money coming from the federal government. Let's see what else. There is, again, at the Tax Policy Center for TaxVox, there's a great year-over-year comparison for states with a wide range of outcomes showing why states needed the stimulus money. Some states didn't need any, but there's a wide dispersion of which states had the dramatic need for the increase in stimulus funding, and other states did not. So you have to be careful when you're looking at averages. When you hear like people say, well, why should we give the states any money? Yeah, but there's some states that were really negatively impacted by the shutdown and are still hurting from that. So they're getting $350 billion from the stimulus package that was passed this year. About a third of that already went out, as you probably know. State governments are going to receive about $195 billion. Local governments are going to get $130 billion, and territories and tribes will get about $25 billion. So that's interesting. And then lastly, the Wall Street Journal has an interesting article on corporate tax and American sovereignty. This is talking about the international tax, the minimum tax that Treasury Secretary Yellen's been advocating and the Biden administration's been advocating. There's some work in the OECD that they're coming up with this global minimum tax. And this article, or this op-ed, it talks about the danger in giving up U.S. sovereignty to international councils and tribunes, because that we lose control over what we can do as a society here in the United States as we cede control. And that erodes the Madisonian principles that were established even further, right? So it would move America closer to the EU model of governance, and I'm not sure we want to do that. Okay, that's it for me, Andy. Day late and $1 short for Wednesday, May 26th. I'll be putting something out later today as well. Thanks so much. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at ABUS and get all my research at andrewbush.com.